This is Jim Smith. Today I'm visiting John Avenson's house at 9988 Hoyt Place in Westminster. It is a net zero energy house built in 1981 as a model of sustainability and has been enhanced year over year by John to become even more sustainability to the point where it now is net zero. And here's John. John, tell us about this house and a little bit about its history and what we'll see when we walk through it.
Thanks, Jim. This house would not exist if it weren't for President Carter. He helped launch SERI, the Solar Energy Research Institute in Golden, now called NREL, National Renewable Energy Labs. And in 1981, Carter stepped off the airplane and announced his financing. There was a contest that SERI held of 300 builders across the state of Colorado, gave them seminars and said, the top dozen of you who do the best job, we're going to put you on the first ever parade of passive solar heated homes. And this is one of those homes we're about to see. So moving on.
Point out the things that we see on the outside here before we go in and look at the interior components.
Yeah, rule number 1 from SERI was solar access. The orientation of the house should face south. The roof should have no plumbing protrusions from bathrooms or kitchen sinks so that you have full potential for future solar panels. There were 2-foot overhangs over all the windows except the 3 living room windows. They had solar screens originally. Now they're covered with automated shades. The ceiling and wall insulation, R values, kept the heat in the house. They are 2 to 4 times greater than the standard house. In 1981, that is. Now the walls are R-55. The house was built with triple pane windows in 1981, but it was air insulation, which was only worth about R2. Today's Alpen quadruple pane Krypton windows are R13 in the center of glass, better than a 2x4 wall that's R9.
Wow.
The foundation was insulated from the cold earth with PolyIso, imported from Australia way back then. So the foundation and the poured concrete floor create a thermal mass inside the house. Also, because of these 3 floors of total windows, you have a lot of greenhouse hot air in the winter solstice of December 21st. So lots of heat is building up, and you must have a destratification fan. We'll see what sucks the hot air off the ceiling of the living room, vaulted ceiling, down to the basement, and up through a rock box all day.
Wow.
So that's a 14-inch duct from the ceiling to the basement, and the rock box is in the center of the house, hidden where no one can see it. We'll see that later.
That rock box is what's called a thermal mass.
Correct.
Because it absorbs heat and then releases it.
Yep. And also inside the house are brick walls. Instead of having brick on the outside, let's make use of that brick thermal mass. And those also reduce the swing of temperatures from cold to warm in the winter. Also, what pre-built into this house was a hollow chase for future installers to run pipes or wires, so it's hidden out of sight. You're not uglying up the house with external pipes. The front door had an airlock entry system. You first close one door before opening the second.
Oh, that
door.
was original. You didn't add that.
Correct. And of all futuristic things, all these windows were wired for electric shades. SERI said that humans are lazy. They don't raise and lower the shades when they get out of bed. And in a house like this that depends on the sun for winter heat, you must have those shades up or you're going to get cold.
So those shades go up and down at the appropriate time during the day, and SERI had them automated in that way as well. It's not just you doing it nowadays.
Well, they had the, correct. I couldn't afford them at the time, so it was just the wiring.
Right. So,
and with that, we can head on up.
Okay. As we walk towards the house, I noticed these black panels below the basement windows.
Yeah.
Explain what those are.
Those are solar hot air panels. They bring in the room temperature from one end. It goes across horizontally to exit the other end, and in that 7 feet, you're going from possibly 68 degrees to a putting out 160 degrees on each one of these panels.
Okay.
They're worth 20,000 BTUs per hour.
Right. And you have them on the west-facing side as well.
So I have 7 of these.
7 of these, and of course they're turned off in the summertime.
Correct.
They're blocked. That flow is blocked.
And notice all these windows are shaded in the summer from May 5th to the end of August. It's the way the sun rotates the Earth rotates around the sun.
Yeah, right. Okay, let's go inside now. Before we go inside, John's going to show you the brains of this building, or at least where they're electrified. Go ahead and open this panel and show us what's inside and explain it, John.
So in 1981, this was well insulated above its date with R19 walls. But after taking the Theus Passive House college courses, I realized I'm way out of date. And so
look at all these wires.
This is all remote wireless monitoring of the electrical circuits, so that I can get warnings on my phone of the washing machine is on or off, refrigerator. I know the electricity usage of almost everything in the house. And for insulating up to the Passive House standard, if you walk over behind me, you'll see exposed here. Here's the original 1.5 inches of polyiso from Australia, and here's 8 more inches of polyiso that I added in 2015.
Yeah.
By adding the walls up to R-55, I was able to remove the backup gas furnace.
Okay, so let's go inside and look at some of the other features. As we go to the front of the house, this is the inverter for the solar panels, and as I said, this is a learning center, so most people don't have these documents and photographs explaining how the house was built, but John does, because he's so committed to teaching others about how the house was made so sustainable. Let's go out front now. Here we are at the front of the house, and John's going to explain some of the elements of it. So go ahead, John, and tell us what makes this a good north-facing
You betcha.
house.
So part of the logical SERI design of any passive house is to have minimal windows on the north, east, and west sides. Windows are like a hole in the wall. You'll notice that the roof of this house has no chimney. That tells you that we are a modern house that doesn't have fossil fuels.
Or
I use a mini split that's very minimally on, only 500 watts when it's needed.
and I see a couple solar tubes up there.
Yeah, we'll have some daylighting from solar tubes. We'll see those on the inside of the house.
Yeah. Okay, is there anything else to learn from this, or shall we go inside now?
That's a weather station that's running the Home Environmental Monitor computer, EMC. It compares the temperature inside the house to what's happening weather-wise outside the house.
Okay, and now we're approaching the airlock, 2 doors.
Correct.
And explain this little graph that you have here.
As an energy audit, you always get certifications, and this has been reported to Energy Star, the U.S. Department of Energy. A standard house runs anywhere loose air between 100 and 150. My house is a HERS 3 currently.
Wow, very impressive. Okay, so let's go inside.
So first you go in the
airlock.
This door leads to the garage.
No fossil fuels, no furnace used to keep this house warm. Airlock entry prevents north wind from entering the house.
Yeah, after you spend all day warming up, you don't want to fill the basement with cold air.
Okay, so let's go inside now. I'll take off my shoes first. Okay.
And view the stand right here, and we'll see the open architecture of the house. Great feng shui. As we stand here, this is the environmental monitor computer that's running the house. There are over 180 endpoints in this house that it can control. Each one of these graphs is 5 days of window temperatures. That's how the computer knows when to raise and lower the shades. The sun's solar radiation over 24 hours, 5 days of sun here.
Wow.
And so we'll learn. You can learn more about this when you come to visit me. I'm always open to the public.
Okay.
I'm a member of Passive House since 2011. This is the German building code that they took from the research of SERI from 1980s. The Germans escalated this into a Passive House official building code, and THEIS of United States has gotten this accepted by the U.S. Department of Energy as the top-of-the-line building code.
Wow.
This was an award-winning plaque down at the Denver Coliseum in front of about 3,000 engineers for my attempts to educate the public.
Yeah, well, you certainly do that.
This is the Colorado Green Building Guild Best Retrofit of 2014.
Mm-hmm. So it's still considered a retrofit because you've gone so much further than SERI did
Exactly.
when it was built. Yeah.
Don't want to be teaching old 1981 technology.
Yeah, right.
We forgot to raise and lower the shades outside. So this is the view inside the house of the solar exposure in wintertime.
Right.
We have Clerestory windows for daylighting and extra heat. All that heat must go somewhere. It has to be handled, else you'll be overheated.
Yeah. This is I should point out that it's about 9:30, 10 a.m. on a sunny summer day in early June. It's not even the summer solstice yet, and there's no direct light coming in through these windows because of the overhang. But in the winter, with the sun down, the sun would be pouring in through these
almost
horizontally into this room, heating it up in the winter. But it's shaded in the summer. That's the essence of, that's a foundational element of passive house design.
And working with Mother Nature.
Working with Mother Nature and the sun.
That angle of the roof is the winter solstice in December 21st.
Oh, interesting. So that's interesting. Now, why is it important that the angle of the roof? It's not. Oh, just to demonstrate the angle that the sun would be in the winter, on the winter solstice.
While we're on the subject, just as mothers measure the height of their children when they are growing up, I measure the date of the sun.
Oh, really?
As it goes through the seasons. So way down here.
Well, it's not there at all in the summer.
Yeah, on May 5th, that's the last sun will ever get into this house.
Yeah.
And then we have, August and April 15th.
Oh, there are words printed
April
on
9th,
you can actually see oh, I see. Okay.
September 7. By the time you get to December, we're way up at the ceiling.
Wow. Oh, interesting. And this is that thermal mass.
Yes.
Yeah, this is inside this brick structure is more mass, rocks. And so this thing during that winter month gets heated up by the sun, even though it's not black, which would do the most. And there up there is the vent. See the vent at the top, that lets the hot air out.
That's triggered by a thermometer, a thermostat that's in behind the grill, and it's going to suck that hot air off the top of the house down through a 14-inch diameter chute to the basement.
Where does the air go into the thermal mass? If that's
basement floor.
On the basement floor. Okay, so okay.
And so here's the top of that rock box.
Oh yeah, you can actually see.
That is 10 feet deep of river rock. Mm-hmm. Currently 70 degrees. This is the cinder block box itself, containing the box.
Wow.
And so that's 5 feet by 5 feet by 10 feet deep.
And then there's another one over there.
That's the back side of the box. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's 3 of these vents. So this is the escape of the air that was sucked off the ceiling.
I see.
And so that's warming up the rocks, and the air comes through cool here of whatever temperature the rocks are.
Good.
In the wintertime, the rocks will achieve 78, 79 degrees.
Wow. Okay. Anything notable about the kitchen?
Yes.
Oh, there's the mini split up there, which is really only backup, right?
Correct.
And that's powered by a heat pump, which is outdoors?
Yes. And powered by the electricity from the solar panels,
of course, yeah. Yeah, because you'd probably generate more electricity than you use.
Correct, yes.
Oh, and that's a window with a shiny electric shade on it.
Mm-hmm. Now, notice the Clerestory windows up there. These two left windows have a pattern on them. The two right do not.
Oh, why is that?
This is new technology from Alpen. If the sign on the brick says sun redirect film. And just like you have light shells that reflect the light deeper into a room in high-tech office buildings, Alpen says, why not do that with laser etching? So there's microscopic horizontal lines that will take the winter sun and angle that 90 degrees up to the roof.
Wow.
And then if you have a reflective roof, it's lighting up the deeper ends of the room.
Wow.
But here's what happened with that technology. Look at what's behind here. Before we had the technology of laser etched film, the sun came up just like we saw in the bricks. December comes up here and it's heating up the cabinets. So I have insulation to keep my cabinets cool.
Oh.
That's totally been taken care of now.
So that doesn't need to be on there anymore.
Right.
Right.
And when you have a computer with a screen, if you were in an office, all that sun is out of your face. I can now use the computer and see my screen with this sun redirect film.
Okay. Anything else to note here before we move on?
Part of the collecting energy is to use it judiciously. And so compact fluorescent lights came out in the early 90s. They were 1/5 the electricity of an incandescent bulb. However, LEDs came about in 2003. This was the first LED light bulb. I paid $185 for this thing.
Wow.
And I like to keep it because it shows LEDs run on battery voltage. This is 120 volts. You got to knock that 120 volts down to battery voltage with a power supply. And so this shows you what's happening on the inside. This has evolved even in the last 3 years. They said we don't even need a power supply. If I have 120 volts, I can use as many LED elements as possible that adds up to 120 volts in a string.
I see.
So I don't need any power supply. This thing is featherweight, and it's putting out 110 watts of light in incandescent terms. And then underneath the cabinet, you can take out your fluorescent lights. This is from 2004, and put up LED lighting. All of these under cabinet lights will run on a 9-volt battery. That's how little they take.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. LEDs were invented when?
In the early 60s as an accident when impurities got put into the baking oven and they were testing it and the transistor glowed. They went, oh, why is it glowing? This is trash. But then they said, hey, it's a light source. So since the 1960s, we had only two colors, green and red, and the combination made orange-yellow. Finally, in 2003, they figured out how to make blue. That makes the three primary colors. Now we can have the first white LED colored lights.
By combining the three primary colors.
Yeah, just like a TV set.
Interesting. Now, why do you keep a ladder in your kitchen?
So this has making use of all the storage spots. So these cabinets, if you have a high ceiling, why not have your cabinets way higher?
So not a sustainability item, just an efficiency. And that vent up there, is that vent used for? Oh yeah,
that's coming from the CERV fresh air machine. In the basement. Once you have a super tight house, we'll have a fresh air.
Yeah, we'll explain the CERV when we get down there.
The heat pump is the highest tech one available. It is SEER 42 and a heat efficiency rating of 15. This is a whole new generation of efficiency. And this heat pump will keep heating at minus 17 degrees Fahrenheit at 100%.
Yeah. What people don't realize that if you look at temperatures from a Kelvin standpoint, there is plenty of heat outdoors when it's minus 17.
Yeah.
And the heat pump's job is to extract that heat from the air and then for heat in heating mode. But then cooling 42 SEER, the rules right now for air conditioning units is 13, isn't it? Yeah. So this is like many times the efficiency of your standard AC unit.
So any air that is above absolute zero has energy to be had.
Yeah, and since heat pumps are entirely electrically charged, you're generating the energy for it from the sun instead of having to have natural gas.
Yeah.
Like for a furnace. Yeah.
So logical.
Yeah, so logical.
We are in the great age of technology right now.
Yes, we are.
So in the last generation of LEDs, we can now have colored LED lights.
Oh yeah.
And so if I want to paint my walls, I can just choose what color.
Are you going to change the color for me?
Sure.
Okay.
There's some yellow, some red, purple, blue.
Yeah.
And you can, whatever your mood is, you can change the colors.
Okay. Probably more obvious at night.
Yeah. And I can change. So if you turn the lights off, you can see how bland the kitchen is. It's almost like someone turned off the color knob on a TV set.
Yeah, right. Okay, so what's next?
We'll head to the solar tubes. Oh, I'm sorry. We want to explain the windows here.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Alpen windows are the next thing. In addition to super insulation, we want quadruple pane windows. These are filled with krypton gas.
And those two middle panes are not glass, though, are they? Aren't they?
In this case, it actually is thin glass.
Oh, it is? Because the triple pane has a filament in it.
Yeah.
Or
you can get filaments or thin glass nowadays.
Yeah, okay.
And the frame is filled with foam. The NFRC, every window manufacturer must be qualified by the National Fenestration Rating Council. And the U factor of these is 0.10. That is a huge R factor of R10. These glass windows, center of glass. This one is R17. This is a low solar heat gain. That's a high solar heat gain with a center of glass of R13. Again, you could build a whole house out of this that's better than all these neighborhood houses.
Okay.
I studied the temperatures for future. If you come to tour, you'll see the reason for all of these thermometers, center of glass, edge of glass, etc.
Yeah. Normal people would not have all those sensors, but then you're not normal. This is a learning center, and this is an infrared camera.
Yep. So this is a $3,000 option. There's our reflection right there.
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh yeah, right.
And so this is how you can see the temperature of your bricks. You can see the faults of your house before you are building a house.
Yep.
And so we're going to demonstrate. Alexa, turn on outside shades.
Oh, you use Alexa to lower your shades?
Yeah, I've had voice control since 2004.
Oh, wow.
Using the Microsoft version originally. So you can still see through the netting. That's what I wanted to point out.
Are these 90%, 80%?
I believe they're about 70.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, now normally they are, although you can tell Alexa to raise and lower them, they are programmed, the computer tells it when to lower or raise it, especially in the winter. That's when, I guess, it's more of an issue.
So the houses of the 1981 vintage tend to overheat.
Yeah. And
this will keep you from overheating. And a few years ago, we had 80 degrees in November and 80 degrees in February because of global warming. So I was forced to have outside shades to regulate. Nothing is seat of the pants here.
Yeah.
And then inside, so the computer's already automatically raising this.
Oh, really? Yeah. You didn't tell Alexa to raise them. The computer said, no. These should be up right now.
And
interesting.
And this is the internal shades. Alexa, turn on door shade.
Cute.
These are the inside shades that reflect the heat back in the winter time. They will go up when there's sun to be had to warm up the house. And when the clouds come, the shade comes down. Keep that heat in the house. Don't let it get out.
Okay, the computer just raised it again.
Yeah.
Computer said that wasn't a smart idea.
You betcha.
Now, I don't suppose there's a reason why you have a wind turbine model in here, do you?
The NREL, this is their project house. They like to experiment, and I asked the wind study division of NREL about can I demonstrate wind generators at my house since I'm public facing. They said, no. If you put a wind generator up in this house, we'll take a picture of what not to do in neighborhoods, because the energy, as a rule of thumb, hits any object. It goes up in the sky 4 times the height of that object, and the energy finally comes down 10 times the distance of that height of the object back to the ground, 10 times the height of the object. So there's no energy to be had to turn your turbine and be financially ahead.
So solar photovoltaic is the only
That's
way
the
to
only
go.
way to make-
So people should never get a wind turbine for their backyard or something.
Correct, unless they have direct mile of wind coming at them.
Yeah, interesting. So what's the effect of all those wind turbines on the agriculture out in the fields? Just curious.
It's nothing, and they've done a study of birds, and the birds see that, and the infrared pictures show the birds fly around the outside perimeter.
So it's not true that they kill birds?
Correct.
And they never did, or they've done things to stop that?
Glass reflecting windows kill more birds than wind generators do.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because President Trump said you can go see a bird cemetery and under every windmill, under any wind turbine.
And also when I'm teaching kindergartners, I start with a black rock and a white rock, and I ask them which rock's going to get warmer in the sun. And then these digital thermometers will, and that's where
This is a classroom. I feel like I'm in class. Okay, where are we going now?
We are going to part of the weather station up on the roof. All that is wirelessly sent to this data center. It sends the data of outside weather to the house computer. Mm-hmm. And that's how the computer knows when to raise and lower the shades for lumens and temperature deltas.
Yeah, okay.
Also, see that little vent on the
Oh,
corner?
yeah. Is this an ERV?
No, that is room handling of air for stale air.
Oh, okay.
So here's the control of the CRV, by the way.
Okay.
We'll see this downstairs. It's measuring CO2 and VOCs.
Volatile organic compounds.
Correct. And I can set this for any amount of CO2 level I want and recycle.
So you're saying you don't want the CO2 level to be higher than 600?
Why not?
Yeah. Because the ambient air is about 400.
However, Stanford University does a study on the human brain, and we start to slow down on our decision levels at 1,000 parts per million.
Oh.
And so in the conference room, if you don't have fresh air, but you have cold air conditioning, you may be falling asleep at a presentation because CO2 level might be up to 5,000.
Maybe that explains Trump. Maybe the CO2 level is higher than 1,000 in the White House.
Oh my gosh. So let's look at the back of that fan. This room has hot air coming from the hot air panels outside. It's sucking sucking in the room temp air there and putting out superheated air at your feet. So you have toasty, warm toes in the winter time.
Behind the sofa.
Those are putting out 160 degrees.
In the winter only.
Yeah. Well, from February to May.
Yeah.
Because the sun is now up over the building. If we have snow in the month of May, that's my primary heating because the sun still sets in the west. Mm-hmm. This is the fan that is sucking air out of this room. Yeah. It's run by this computer right here, and this is courtesy of the money from marijuana industry. They have really run high tech into new fan air handling. Oh. So any room that has dead air, you can activate it with these computer-controlled fans now. It's
interesting.
4-inch to 6-inch to 12-inch, any diameter you want.
Oh, interesting. Okay, are we done on this floor?
Almost. Here's more sun tunnels.
Oh, yeah.
This is the bathroom.
Now notice that we are well below the roof level. That's a long mirrored tube bringing that down. And does it bend at all, or is it straight down?
This one's straight down, but it's still in the shade upstairs.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's a lighting kit you see inside.
Oh, yeah, so you can actually turn
a 5,000K. Here's the bathroom one. The sun is hitting that one.
Yep. So there's no lights on in this bathroom.
Correct.
Well, now there is.
Yeah, it's automatic light.
Yeah.
And up behind here is a fake fascia for the bathroom fan. So the fan is hidden behind it.
Oh, you've integrated the fan with the solar tube. Okay. And what's in here?
In the bedroom, this was built with a fluorescent tubing originally in 1981. When LED lights came out, I want you to notice the color rendition.
Why did it turn off?
The computer's turning off unnecessary lights. Oh my goodness.
Here, I'll turn it on again.
I want to show you the
computer is just really not cooperating here.
Yeah. Look at the colors of the bedspread.
Yeah.
They are very pale. with the fluorescent lights. Turn on that switch again if you can.
Okay.
And then I'm going to turn on the LEDs and notice the bright colors
Yeah.
of the LEDs.
Okay.
And then one other thing is fiber optics. This is fiber optics experiment. If I go up to the roof and I focus the sun's light on this closet lights up like a light bulb.
Oh.
And my dream
But
is...
the light's not on it right now. The sun's not on it right now.
I would have to focus it like a campfire on that.
Oh, okay.
And then it'll light it up.
Okay.
And that covers us for the
Yeah.
upstairs.
Okay. So, downstairs now?
I think so.
Okay, going down to the basement now. As I said, this is a learning center with all these interesting pictures around. And explain what this picture describes, John.
This is the first step any homeowner should do is an energy audit. And an energy audit will put this blower door red tent, and that's a fan in the house. It's going to suck the air out of the house, and it's going to find where all the leaks are in your house. And I would recommend a tablet and paper and make notes to yourself. Take the next year to improve all your leaks,
Right.
and then they will come back and show your improvement. I've had 9 energy audits since 1999.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
They're not cheap either.
No.
You love spending money.
but the comebacks are cheap. They're less than $100 for comparison.
Yeah, right. And it's a computer. There's a computer attached to that fan that tells you how airtight your home is. And as you make improvements, those subsequent ones can tell you in statistical terms how much you've improved the airtightness of your house.
And so for relative purposes, a air exchange is ACH50. That is, the speed of this fan is simulating a 20 to 24 mile an hour wind outside. And every time the wind sucks the air out of your house, your furnace has to reheat the whole volume of that. And on loose houses, you're reheating that air 10 to 20 times an hour, air exchanges per hour. So that's an ACH50 number. On a passive house, instead of 10 to 20 time air exchanges, you can only allow a 0.5 air exchanges or less. Per hour.
Per hour. Okay.
And so think of a passive house as tight as a car tire.
Now, that leads us to talk about the CERV, which is in the basement. So let's go explain the CERV and what it does. Now, most people have heard of ERVs, which are energy recovery ventilators. A CERV contains a heat pump unit, which will add heat if needed.
Or add cooling, actually.
Add cooling.
So, just as basics, this was the bottom of the rock box. It's in the center of the house. Both the upstairs and downstairs floor plans are U-shaped because this is an area you can't get to. This was the original fan. You can see the cinder blocks of the rock box here. That's the 14-inch diameter tube. That's 10 feet tall. This fan, old tech, pulling 300 watts, now has been replaced with a variable DC motor fan, just like you saw in the closet upstairs. And it's pulling 1/4 of the electricity for the same airflow.
Okay. So that half the 0.5 air exchange was from nature, not from the ERV, because the ERV is creating, because of how tight the house is, the ERV is creating an air exchange. Air changes per hour.
That's part of the code. Once you have a tight house, you have to have a fresh air.
Right. So now you're actually bringing in more air, which
in a controlled manner.
But you're bringing it in a controlled manner because the ERV exchanges the hotness or the coolness of the interior air with that air that's coming in. So it works both in the summer to cool that incoming hot air, or in the winter to warm that incoming hot air. And then the C part of it, which is conditioning, conditions that air so that it'll add cooling in the summer and add heating in the winter.
The thought process was...
So it's like a mini furnace, really. Furnace replacement, but it's electrical.
If I'm bringing in outside environment to the fresh air machine, why not make use of that outside energy for a heat pump?
Yes, right. Okay, so you're going to show us the...
So physically...
Okay, I'm on my knees here. Wow, there's a bunch of stuff here. So the rock box is above us? Or next to us?
Way off to the right, out of view.
So here's your... Wow. So all this,
I'm making, because this is a retrofit house, I'm making use of the old furnace system. So I'm sucking from...
the ducts, the duct work for the forced air furnace is being used by this CERV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all the ducts that used to feed hot air to the bedrooms are now sucking stale air out of the bedrooms.
Right.
They come into one of these tubes and they are exchanged with fresh air, which puts out, you saw the duct above the kitchen refrigerator.
Yeah.
And also there's a duct feeding the basement right here.
Yeah.
You can hear it.
Yep. Yeah, you can actually hear the sound of the air coming. This is coming in here, right?
That's fresh natural air.
Fresh natural air here. Yeah. Okay.
In the winter heating mode, it can add heat, and that'll be putting out 112 degrees.
Okay.
So the basements can actually be, in the morning, 1 or 2 degrees warmer than upstairs if I just have all the CERV air coming to the basement.
Okay.
Which is opposite of a normal house. It's cold in the basement.
Yeah.
Here is a graph that shows the VOCs, CO2 levels, relative humidity outside, inside, temperature outside, inside. And so if you have a sudden spike in VOCs, the shaded area shows how the CERV engaged into high speed, and it's bringing in fresh air to bring that VOC back down under 1,000 parts per minute.
Yeah.
Per minute.
Explain what some of those VOCs are. What's generating those? I know new carpeting has a lot of VOCs in it, but what's
not all carpeting, some carpeting.
Yeah, some carpeting is low VOC, and you want to ask for that. But what are the VOCs that
even shampoo with your perfumes is VOCs. Anything that
you smell
evaporates into the air.
Yeah.
And the worst culprit is cooking with oil in hot temperatures. If you can steam your temperatures, you have no VOCs, but oil and hot temperatures are
okay.
And cats, any litter boxes are a huge problem with VOCs.
Oh, so a cat house would smell better with a CERV running?
I would get it outside.
Okay.
So that's the benefit. And why do we do this? This is the history of oil. Oil was discovered in 1859.
In Pennsylvania.
And we didn't use it. Finally, World War II, we started using it. We started buying cars. And in 1950s, when I was born, we were taught that humans have conquered Mother Nature. No, we have found out we haven't.
Right.
We still have to live with Mother Nature. So they stopped publishing this in 2010 because fracking became popular, and they didn't know how to forecast peak oil.
Yeah.
But it's still, in the thousands of years of human existence, this is a blink of the eye of our oil usage.
Right. Okay, so what else do we see down here?
This is a learning institute.
Besides the most amazing home theater I've ever seen. How wide is that screen?
12 feet?
Yeah. And you use it for teaching. So
yes.
You use this home theater for teaching about sustainability, don't you?
I sure do.
And how often and where can people find out about it?
So once a month I hold the theus.org presentations. I try to
Theus is PH.
Passive House, United States, Institute in the United States.
PHUS, yeah. Okay.
US. And once I am the Southwest rep of theus.org of the United States, and I try to get professionals, craftsmen, tradesmen to come in, give their PowerPoints here, and it's also webinared, and the schedule is at meetup.com.
Meetup.com, look for
Passive House Southwest, SW.
Passive House spelled out and then SW. Yeah.
And I might also add that I got started by becoming a member of your state chapter of the American Solar Energy Society.
ASES.
And Colorado has Colorado Renewable Energy Society, CRES. And if you want to escalate your knowledge of renewable energy, join CRES. Yeah.
Okay, great. I've been in one of your sessions in this room, and I also remember you feed people.
Correct.
So
we're solving global warming one house at a time.
Yeah, right. Okay, great. I see you have a popcorn machine over there too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's
solar powered.
Bar full of food. And over there, by the way, is more thermal mass on the brick wall that goes all the way upstairs.
Is this your master suite or?
That's the guest bedroom.
Oh, guest bedroom. Okay.
And that has its own laundry room and shower and bathroom.
Aha.
And behind here, by the way, is The hybrid hot water tank. This is a bookcase.
You say hybrid, is it a heat pump, water?
Water pump.
A water heater.
Which is using 1/4 electricity. This bookcase is hanging on rollers on the rock box, and I can shuffle it to the left and expose where the hot water tank is.
Oh, I guess you have to move this little dresser first.
You can actually see the scratch on the ceilings.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
So that's a very important aspect, is a hybrid hot water tank. No electrical units needed.
Yeah, okay. Okay, great. Anything else before we wrap it up?
Gosh, I can't think of anything.
Well, this has been an amazing experience. You were quite a teacher, and you've made your home into a real classroom, and we can all be thankful that John Avenson is doing this. So thank you for that.
And I'm open 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
Okay. Do you want me to tell people your email address?
Yeah, avenson1@hotmail.com.
Okay, so they can call you, they can email you if they have further questions or want to find out where they can learn more.
And the garage is a 40 amp service for a Tesla. Someday when I can afford one.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you're spending all your money on this learning center.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So you've done a lot.
I also have an outlet for electric cars at the front of the garage, so my guests can plug in and get back home on their charge.
Oh, okay. Great.
Every house should be built with that.
Yes.
Think of others.
Yes. Right. Well, thank you again. This has been quite a learning experience, and I thought I knew a lot, but I learned some more myself.
All right.
Thanks.